Mercado Libre is a major Latin American e-commerce business dominating the online market scene in Latin America. It is down 12% from its all-time highs in early 2021, and it is up 13% year to date, where the overall stock market benchmark, the S&P 500, is up 18% year to date. We will analyze Mercado Libre in two parts. Part 1, most recent earnings breakdown. We will go through Mercado Libre's latest financial statements using my own custom-built spreadsheet. This will highlight key data from the income statements, balance sheet, and cash flow statement. We will then explore various valuation methods, including discount and cash flow analysis, to determine if Mercado Libre is currently undervalued, fairly valued, or overvalued. Part 2, holistic company evaluation. To gain a more comprehensive understanding of Mercado Libre's business, we will utilize a custom scorecard I developed for valuing businesses. This will involve going through a checklist and answering a series of criteria questions designed to evaluate the moat, revenue, margins, profitability, debt, return to shareholders, valuation, leadership, and the story of the business. So let's get started. Part 1, most recent earnings breakdown. Looking at the income statement, we see that the revenue has grown 43% year over year. The net income has grown 70% year over year, and the net income margin is at 8%. The shares outstanding have decreased by 1% year over year. The EPS has grown almost by 72% year over year. And the reason why the EPS has grown faster than the net income is because Mercado Libre is reducing the numbers of shares outstanding. Looking at the balance sheet, we can see that the cash has increased by 36% year over year, and the debt has been reduced by 12% year over year. This kind of trend indicates a very good balance sheet. Looking at the cash flow statements, we can see that the free cash flow year over year has grown by 76.6%. The free cash flow margin is at 31.6%, and the free cash flow per share year over year is at 78.4%. Again, the reason why the free cash flow per share year over year is growing faster than the free cash flow is again because Mercado Libre is reducing the numbers of shares outstanding. I also took a look at the EPS compound annual growth rate for the past 5 years, and it's a staggering 146%. Very similar to EPS, also the free cash flow per share compound annual growth rate for the last 5 years is also at an impressive 105%. We will skip the valuation for the moment because we were going to look at it in a visual way in just a moment. And we will take a look at the comments I made when I was going over the latest earnings report. I noted that Mila has a very high revenue, very high income, and free cash flow growth. The analyst projections for the next 5 years are 18% revenue growth and 29% EPS growth. The stock price growth for the past 5 years for Mila has been at 34% compound annual growth rate, where the EPS is growing at 30% and the PE expansion makes up 4%. When we look at the past 10 years of performance, we can see that the free cash flow has been growing by 50% compound annual growth rate. The operating cash flow is growing by 43.5% compound annual growth rate, and the price ratios for free cash flow and the op cash flow are decreasing by 10.5% and 4%. Similar story when looking at the last 5 years. It's even better. The free cash flow is accelerating compound annual growth rate. The operating cash flow is also accelerating its compound annual growth rate, and the price ratios of both of these are going down. And Mila is currently trading at 16.7 price to free cash flow and trading at 15 price to operating cash flow. Next, the discounted cash flow analysis. If we take the free cash flow for the trailing 12 months and project it for the next 5 years, projecting a free cash flow growth rate of 15%, which is way below its historical ranges, and we assume a price ratio of price to free cash flows of 20, this will mean a small price ratio expansion, and we assume the historical shares outstanding growth rate of 2%, even though for the last year they have decreased their shares by 1%. We can see that the calculated fair value today for Mila would be $2,332, or around 17% compounded annual growth rates for the next 5 years. To this price, I apply the margin of safety of 20%. So then we take a look at the valuation and scroll down and see that the PE at the time of the earnings was 65. The price to free cash flow was 14. The price to free cash flow adjusted for stock-based compensation was 15. And the enterprise value to free cash flow was 13. Enterprise value to free cash flow is my favorite metric because the enterprise value factors out the cash and the debt a company has. Looking at this graph here, we can see that Mila has more cash than debt, and therefore the enterprise value is lower than the market capitalization. If I take a look at the overview of all of my holdings, I can see that the price for Mercado Libre has went up since the earnings report, and according to my discounted cash flow analysis, Mila is around 7% undervalued still today. Part 2, holistic company evaluation. In order for this video not to be too long, I have published this part on my Patreon. My Patreon members get exclusive access to my own custom-built tools, such as 2 different stock analysis tools, one designed for earnings and one for general analysis, complete research on my current holdings, research on my best ideas watch list, full analysis of my past research stocks, personal portfolio buys and sells, template for analyzing businesses, personal budgeting tools based on the JAR system, including a multi-year budget tracking tool, network tracking tool, Q&A sessions, and one-on-one sessions with me. I have put a lot of effort into developing all the tools you see here, and I think they will provide you with a lot of value. You can try it out for a month, and if you don't like it, you can cancel anytime. If you do not want to join the Patreon, then you can also buy any of the tools with a one-time purchase. This will only be a snapshot of the current tool and obviously will not contain future updates. Your support directly helps create the content you see here. Link to the Patreon is in the pinned comment below. Anyways, that was my analysis of Mercado Libre. Now, before you run off and invest your hard-earned money, remember that this video is for informational purposes only and it does not constitute financial advice. Do yourself a favor and conduct your own research before making any investment decisions. Finally, don't forget to leave a like on this video, consider subscribing to the channel, and leave me a comment suggesting a company that I should review next. Cheers!